Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Log Show here on YouTube. How is everyone doing today? I know I'm feeling great after this weekend. March Madness is underway, and boy, has it been fun, in my opinion, especially as a St. John's alum after that Kansas win. Is here, everyone. Finally, baseball season has arrived. I can't wait to enjoy this baseball season. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm so excited for this baseball season. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure the stream's going well. Let me know in the chat down below. Whoever's watching, my friend's dad, whoever it is, if you could text me if the stream's going well. That is always helpful. Sorry, as I fix my little Lego right here. But yeah, Yankees opening day tomorrow. We have Fried on the mound tomorrow night on Netflix against the San Francisco Giants. The New York Knicks. Draft is in about a month. There's a lot going on. It's a very exciting time. Everybody loves March Madness. It comes at a great time, in my opinion, because it is usually a dead period in sports. You know, baseball season has yet to begun. It begins tomorrow. All of that. So the first two rounds of March Madness are at a great time. The draft is still a month away, month and a half away. You know, we still got time for that. So yeah, I'm elated right now. I'm absolutely elated. Again, I hope somebody is in the chat. I only have one. Um, I am absolutely elated right now about March Madness. I mean, sorry, got distracted there for a second. But as I was saying, March Madness has been exciting. As a Johnny's fan, especially, one big thing. It's just been a fun ride. I mean, they get a big win over Kansas off that amazing shot. Dylan Darling. I mean, when you look at the whole entire play, just as a whole, there's a lot to break down about it. There's a lot you've been seeing. A lot of different people talk about it. I mean, it's been the biggest news in probably basketball over the past couple days since it has happened. It really has been the biggest news in basketball. I watched it live. It was so exciting. But when you look at the play, a lot of people are questioning Bill Self's decision to sit there and foul until St. John's was in the was a foul away from the bonus. And the reason they question that is because now the defense of that guard gets a little bit less aggressive on Dylan Darling. But as a St. John's fan, I can't help but to sit here and talk about the absolute bells on Dylan Darling, as they like to call him. They love to call him bells because earlier in the year, Coach Pitino said he has balls as size as church bells. And boy, did that show the other night in that game when he goes into the huddle. If anybody didn't watch the post-game presser, he goes into the huddle and he calls the play for himself. Patino said, yeah, Bells comes up to me and he's like, yeah, run power for me instead of the play that they were supposed to call. And I'm going to be honest here, guys. Like, if we're going to sit here and really break down Patino and how legendary of a coach he is, that is one of those decisions. Craig Carton said it like this on his show. Like, he explained it like this, and I kind of liked how he explained it. Shout out someone I look up to in Craig Carton, someone I listen to almost on the daily. I know Vin, my fan Vin, ain't a big fan of him, but that's their own personal beef to have. But as I was saying, it's one of those calls that almost like if that doesn't go correctly, you have to keep that to yourself because why are you listening to a dude who hasn't hit a shot all night, has 0 points going into that moment, and ends up hitting the two biggest shots of the year? Or gets the two biggest points, sorry, not the two biggest shots, hits the biggest shot, gets the two biggest points of the year for St. John's basketball in the point guard of Dylan Darling, who I mean, has been a heart and soul of this team consistently throughout the year. If you've been somebody who has watched as much and As connected as I've been to St. John's basketball over the past couple of years, I have no choice but to watch as much St. John's basketball as I physically and possibly can, week in and week out. And Dylan Darling has been someone who throughout this year has been such a heart and soul to this team. And he's been someone who has been that type of energy play this season, even though maybe some games he hasn't been filling it up on the stat sheet. He consistently has energy on the defensive side of the ball. He consistently plays his heart out. He consistently, like I said, just plays hard, nose down basketball and brings the energy onto the court for St. John's when they need it. And they needed it in that moment. And what Bells did is he went into the huddle and he showed that he's got balls the size of church bells, like Patino said. And he hits the biggest shot of the season, blows by his defender, switches to his offhand, which is his right hand, gets this nice little hook fade, whatever the hell that layup was, and makes one of the biggest shots, the biggest shot that in St. John's history of my lifetime. Like the biggest shot in St. John's, like of my 23 years of living, it is the biggest shot that St. John's has ever had. It is the biggest moment that St. John's had been in since 1999, last year you could argue Arkansas, but that game got away from us at a point. There was no moment as big as this over my 4 years there, over the past 24 years at St. John's University, a university that I care passionately and deeply about. There hasn't been a moment as gigantic as this. And Dylan Darling showed up, showed out, and made a huge play against Kansas that was starting to rally back. If you really think about it, if that game goes into overtime and Kansas wins that game, what people are sitting here talking about now is everybody is talking about, not only listening to Dylan Darling if that gets out, but if that game goes into overtime, you're thinking, oh my God, St. John's was up by 14 at one point with Darren Peterson really started or Darren Peterson, I believe it is, just really, really, really started to get going in that second half, started to find his stride, get some good shots. They started to get open threes. They were now getting offensive rebounds of their own. And the energy of the game kind of shifted until those last 2 minutes when it got really choppy. The St. John's press was starting to get to Kansas again. They weren't breaking through on those fast breaks as much. Like I said, they were starting to get to Kansas again. They were starting to tire them down. The inbounds were getting a lot tougher as they had been all game. They started to get tough again towards the end of that second half. And what you saw is St. John's get a gigantic win in March Madness over a Kansas team that's very good. I thought they were better than Kansas going into this game. The sports books and the betting people thought they were better than Kansas going into this game. Did I disconnect? Oh my God, don't tell me I disconnected. Sorry guys, my bit rate's going down. The video is choppy. I know. Hold on, guys. Let me try to fix something here. Let me try to figure this out real quick, guys. I hope I'm still connected. Just give me 1 second, guys, if you're still here. right, sorry about that. I'm back, guys. But yeah, I mean, sorry, I'm a little thrown off after that. I just had to fix the technical difficulties. It just gets so frustrating. Um, you guys wonder why this hasn't been uploaded as an actual audio podcast yet. It's just I get frustrated. I get frustrated. Um, Let me know how the video is on YouTube there, guys. I mean, let me know if it's even worth still going. Um, but yeah, I mean, St. John's, like I was saying, it was just an absolute magical moment for a player who has been so big for us throughout the entire season. A player who time and time again has been the energy in that locker room, despite, you know, there are other players who obviously had gigantic performances. Draymond Green wanted to be a hater, and he was like, "Darling kid ain't the hero of the game." Here, I love the term "hero of the game" if you want to call it that, but I will also say that Dylan Darling, if you hit that type of shot, you're the hero of the game. Like to call out what Draymond Green said on his goddamn podcast, it kind of pissed me off because don't get me wrong, Bryce Hopkins was the star of that game. Bryce Hopkins was the person who kept that in the game. He was hitting big shot after big shot. Ruben Prey hit a huge shot down the stretch as well. He hits a huge three down the stretch as well. But if I'm gonna sit here and be completely honest about St. John's and about and about what Draymond Green said, if Steph Curry had 0 points the whole game and hit a nice crazy layup to win the game, he'd be parading about, oh, yeah, Steph's a hero. So, like, and I'm not comparing Dylan Darling to Steph Curry. I understand that's different echelons of players, and we're talking college basketball, March Madness versus somebody who is arguably the greatest point guard to ever play. But Draymond Green, shut your damn mouth, please, all right? Dylan Darling could be considered the hero of the game and still not be the best player of the game. Yes, he only had 2 points, but guess what? Those were by far the most important 2 points of the game. Shout out Bryce Hopkins for the way he played in that game. He had 18 points. Like I said, hit so many threes, hit 2 threes down the stretch. Was hitting bucket after bucket throughout that game. When it seemed like St. John's got extremely cold, Bryce Hopkins was the one there to get them back on track, to get them back rocking and rolling and going. That was Bryce Hopkins. I'm not going to lie about that. As much as I love Zuby struggled at times. You know what I mean? He got shut down by some of those centers at times, struggled to get rebounds at times. It was Bryce Hopkins who kept us in this game. I won't lie about that. But when you want to call someone a hero, it's the man who made the most important buckets of the entire game. And that man was Dylan Darling. Shout out Dylan Darling. Shout out St. John's. They go into Duke on, I believe it's on Friday, if I remember correctly. They play Duke on Friday. I would love to get the rematch against UConn. You know, you beat UNI. Now you're back, and you have the chance to get another rematch against UConn. I would love it. Michigan State is a great team. It's someone we're inexperienced against. We don't play well against Big Ten teams over the past couple of years. I'll be completely honest about that when it comes to everything that goes on there. We really don't play well against Big Ten teams, but I am frothing at the mouth at the thought of a matchup against UConn again in March Madness against Dan Hurley again. And Dan Hurley has even come out and said that he is frothing at the mouth, hoping for that same rematch. So obviously, I'm not going to look ahead. St. John's has the #1 team in the country coming up on Friday. There's no overlooking to do. There's no overlooking they should do. They need to lock in and focus on an opponent that they are playing that is, as of right now, the best team in the country according to KenPom ratings, according to the AP polls, according to everything. Duke has been the best team in the country throughout most of the season as well. And that's who you have on Friday. So you have to lock in. You gotta focus up against Duke, against this team, and really, 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 really be able to get going. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's It's exciting. That's the word I was looking for. I know that's such a basic word, but it's extremely exciting to watch St. John's on this run, especially after the disappointing loss last year to Arkansas, who was another brutally underrated team. When you look at last year as a 7th seed, they were so much better with Calipari in his first season there. Now they come back. They're a 4 seed. They've been doing well, but with that disappointing loss in the round of 32 to Calipari and that squad last year, who was a good squad. It's not like I want to disrespect what Calipari and them were able to do with a Sweet 16 run in back-to-back seasons with that team in such a tough conference of the SEC that is such a tough basketball conference now. It's very exciting to see not only people buy into the hype of St. John's after realizing last year was not just a fluke, but people hyping up St. John's going into this Duke game. People are scared. Duke alum are scared of St. John's, and yes, it might be overhype, and that does worry me a little bit that there's too much hype on St. John's going into this game. But I mean, nonetheless, man, this is the biggest game, I think, of the year in college basketball. I think the national championship will top it, but I think up to this point, St. John's Duke, might be the most exciting game on the schedule, on the docket for this college basketball season as we look back at the games that have been played. And, the winner of which, that matchup's going to be even better. When you look at, I saw a statistic earlier that the semifinals right now for this East bracket in March Madness are the most expensive tickets ever for a semifinal of, for a Sweet 16 region. So, and why does that not surprise me? Like I said, the matchups that you have in that East region right now are Duke St. John's, the number 1 team in basketball, versus arguably the hottest team in the country. And then you have UConn versus Michigan State, two legendary coaches who know how to get it done in March, and Tom Izzo and Dan Hurley. As much as I hate Dan Hurley, it is an exciting weekend for March Madness, at least in that East bracket. And what I'm not no doubt on my mind, whoever comes out of this East bracket championship, I do think that, I mean, I'll be honest, there's no in between. I'll break it down to you right now. There's absolutely no in between. It's either... Oh, I disconnected. Oh, that's great, didn't I? You guys can't see me. But as I was saying, it's either you absolutely go off and you're battle tested through against teams like UConn and St. John's and Duke and Michigan State and Louisville and Kansas and whoever makes it through. It's either you're battle tested through such a tough region, or what you do is you sit there and you're going to be so tired out that when you play, Arizona or whoever it is that they end up playing out of that region, your legs are going to be gone. There's no in between. I don't think it's like they lose a close game. I think they're either battle tested and they go on to win a national championship, or they get the brakes blown off them that first game of the Final Four. No matter who it is, whether it's my Johnnies, whether it's Duke, UConn, Michigan State, whatever 4 of those teams, whichever one of those 4 teams comes out of the East, you're either going to be gassed, and that's why you're going to have to lock in, because you are going to be battle tested. And it's either the scars are going to show against whoever you play in the Final Four, or you'll be able to come out, have a good game, and dominate that first Final Four game. And you are going to be scary to play against in the national championship, and you're going to win that national championship, whichever team it is. And I'm extremely excited for it. Obviously, I got my biases. I'm putting money on St. John's. I'm doing whatever it is. If I got the money to put on St. John's, I'm putting it on St. John's. If I got whatever, I'm all in on St. John's at this point to win a national championship after that Kansas performance. I'm elated. I'm through the roof. But their New York basketball team. There's the Knicks and there's St. John's right now. Those are the only two teams that matter in New York. There's another team in another sport that is hoping for a championship in New York. There is a third championship contender in New York outside of St. John's, outside of New York Knicks. And they have their first pitch tomorrow night on Netflix against the San Francisco Giants. And that is my New York Yankees, who you will see tomorrow night. You will see Max Fried start the season for them as Rodon is still recovering from surgery. Obviously, Cole just got back and just started going into spring training, just started going into the rotation, just started getting actual game time, so he won't be ready for the start of the season. Neither will Rodon. But as I see my boy Vin in the chat saying right now, the chase for 28 is alive, and I am more excited than ever for it. I think this team is extremely, extremely, extremely interesting right now. The speculated starting lineup going into tomorrow night is that lineup we kind of saw at the end of the year that wasn't as successful in the playoffs, but it was one that was very successful in the regular season. And that one is the one with Grisham leading off in center field, Judge 2, Bellinger 3, Ben Rice playing first at 4, Goldie coming off the bench. We have Giancarlo obviously DHing. I'll talk about Giancarlo in the field in a second. Jazz at second, batting 6. Ryan McMahon expected to bat 7th at 3rd. Caballero expected to get the opening night start at shortstop, which I'm excited about, and then Wells catching at 9. That is the predicted starting lineup. Obviously, everything will come out tomorrow as the game starts to really gets to go. I'll talk about Luis Gil getting sent down to the minors in a second, too. I think that's just all a rotational thing, and it's just who we have numbers for. I think it goes similar to Jason Dominguez. Jason Dominguez is somebody who just didn't have a role on the team as of right now. He also got sent down to AAA. It's somebody who we don't have a role for the young developing player. Jason Dominguez was not going to get us a lot of at-bats. Jason Dominguez is somebody who needs to get a lot of at-bats. You need to continue to develop Jason Dominguez. You can't just have Jason Dominguez sit there and rot on the bench with how young he is. You need him to constantly get plays. And with the performance of how good Trent Grisham was last year, he's just not going to get at-bats this season. That's why bringing in a veteran and calling up a veteran to be your fourth outfielder like a Garachuk makes more sense, because that's somebody who's going to be more content, and you're not really stunting the growth of a Garachuk with him being your last outfielder. But when it comes to, and I think it's the same thing with Luis Gil. I think Luis Gil needs a lot of pitches. He's still young in his career. It's somebody who you want to try to get on the mound as often as possible. And if you don't have a spot for him in a rotation when he's still coming back from his injury last year, you want him to be able to rehab a little bit. I don't hate the idea of Luis Gil also starting the year in the minors. He is somebody who struggled after he came back from injury this year. But I mean, on that as well, like, when you really think about it, like, I see what you're saying in the chat there. I'll actually talk about that right now, Vin. About Judge batting leadoff. I think that's an interesting perspective. I don't like the idea of Judge batting leadoff. I'm also not in love with Trent batting leadoff, though. I usually like somebody like, I like somebody who gets on base a lot to be able to bat first. I mean, that's why I'm not completely against the idea of Judge, because people are going to walk Aaron Judge an immense amount of times every season. So if that's your idea of batting Judge first, is you're guaranteeing that man on base to start the game, I don't necessarily hate it. Or on the flip side, because people don't want to start the game with a man on base, you're now sitting there in a situation where they're forced to pitch to Aaron Judge. So it's definitely an interesting situation to have Judge bat leadoff. I mean, when I look up and down the lineup thinking about who we have, I think Trent struggled in the leadoff role at the end of the year last year. I like Bellinger in the leadoff role. I think he's done very well with it. I think a guy like Caballero could do very well in a leadoff role, even though he might not be the best player on our team. I think he's somebody who could get on base and get in scoring position fast. So, like, I think it's an interesting situation. The Dodgers do it with Shohei, but I think the Dodgers doing it with Shohei is a little bit different because Shohei's a different type of player. Aaron Judge, Shohei's a dude who's going to get you 30 stolen bags in a season as well. Like, Shohei's a dude, and that's why you have him bat first. Like, as much as Shohei's a dude who's going to hit a ball 500 feet and lead the NL in home runs, Shohei's also a dude that when you walk him, he's going to get you the extra bag and get in scoring position. Judge isn't necessarily going to get you the extra bag to get in a scoring position. I've always thought to bring up the idea of maybe trying Jazz at the leadoff role. I think he'd be a very interesting guy. Again, another guy who's able to get you an extra bag similar to that, like what I was just saying that Shohei could do. Obviously not the same power as a Shohei Ohtani, nor would I ever compare Jazz Chisholm to Shohei Ohtani. But what I am saying is he's a player that I would like to see how maybe he handles the leadoff role, going righty, lefty with him, Judge, Bellinger, or maybe righty, moving Judge to third and having Bellinger bat second, I think is something that would be an interesting move for the Yankees. But right now they're starting the season with the lineup that we saw last year. I'm really excited to see what the Yankees have in store for us this year. I mean, like many of people have said, there's not much of additions to talk about with this team. The most exciting addition of the New York Yankees for this 2026 season is the addition of Garrett Cole. That's who the exciting addition is. It's going to be Garrett Cole. When we get Garrett Cole back in 3 to 4 weeks or so, when he gets going and he really gets in the flow of things and feels himself, that's going to be the big addition for the Yankees. Cody Bellinger now locked in. Hopefully he can continue what he did last year. And another big key to it, like you said in the chat, Vin, I'm not going to lie, is the performance of Trent Grisham this year. Is we need a similar season of Trent Grisham. Trent Grisham, I will say a 30 home run season for Trent Grisham may or may not have been a fluke, but also a 24 home run season for Trent Grisham I'm happy with. A 20 home run season from Trent Grisham I'm happy with. Literally 10 less home runs from Trent Grisham as long as the performance is at least similar. You're like, if I see the number, I'm expecting the numbers to dip slightly is kind of what I'm trying to say about Trent. I'm genuinely expecting the numbers of Trent Grisham to dip slightly. But if they don't dip immensely, if Trent Grisham doesn't end up as this 18 home run, batting 204, center fielder, then I could be happy with what we get out of Trent Grisham this season. But I think that's going to be a very important piece. I think what we can get out of Anthony Volpe this season is going to obviously be a very important piece. If Anthony Volpe was the most disappointing part of the New York Yankees roster last year, and I don't think anybody will argue that statement. Anthony Volpe over the past 2 years has been the most disappointing part of this Yankees roster. So what he's going to be able to do in the time that we give him, now that he's clearly competing with the position with Jose Caballero, who is now starting opening night tomorrow night, as been rumored, for the New York Yankees. Caballero, who's had a pretty solid spring as well when you look at him over the past month or so in spring training. Anthony Volpe's got the pressure on, and he's got to perform well in the at-bats that we are going to give him. In as many at-bats as that is. He's got to prove that Anthony Volpe's been the kid for so long, and I hate to be the guy who says go back and check what I said, but it's not even what I said. If you go back and look at what, shout out this guy, shout out my man Tommy Weber. If you go back to those episodes, Tommy Weber last season, who I'm going to try to get on at some point early into this baseball season via Zoom. But if you look back at those episodes, we talked about Anthony Volpe. And he talked about how, hey, Anthony Volpe's just not good right now. And the Yankees organization just won't admit it. And us starting Caballero tomorrow night feels like we're finally starting to take a deep breath and go, all right, Volpe's not the next cheater. As much as we've wanted to sit here and say Volpe is not the next cheater, you called him up too early. And you're doing a good job at taking the deep breath with Spencer Jones as well. You're not listening to all the fans who are angry as much as I am as well. I'd love to see, or Spencer Jones and George Lombard. George Lombard's the man I'm talking about at shortstop. I apologize with saying Spencer Jones, but with George Lombard, I love George Lombard. I think George Lombard has the potential to be an exceptional MLB shortstop. But don't necessarily rush him into the league if you don't feel like he's ready, if you feel like he still has problems, which he does slightly with striking out. You know, his on-base percentage is still not necessarily where you want it to be. His launch angle is still not necessarily where you want it to be. His exit velo is starting to get up there. It's those types of numbers that you take a deep breath on, because it's those types of numbers that the Yankees are ignored with Anthony Volpe. As much as I sit here and I argue I'm not this numbers guy, because I'm not. I'm a performance guy. Volpe never showed good numbers either. They went full in on the potential of Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe played 26 minor league games, or 29, whatever it was. It's 20-something. I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head. I know by week 3 of the MLB season on WFAN or on Talkin' Yanks, it's going to be screamed in my face, and I'll be reminded of the number. 20-something games that we saw Anthony Volpe play as the minor leagues. Let George Lombard play a little bit in the minor leagues this season more. If he does what he did last year again throughout this season in the minor leagues, continue to call him up. Go ahead. Feel free to call Lombard up. Feel free to start to give him those at-bats if Volpe continues to struggle. But don't rush it necessarily. There's no need to rush it necessarily for the New York Yankees and George Lombard. You're going into this season with a lot of high expectations. You're going up against a good pitcher in tomorrow night in Logan Webb in his debut in San Francisco. You're playing San Francisco, who's a scrappy team. On Netflix, the whole country is going to be watching. And Aaron, you had a disappointing WBC. And I don't think anybody will argue that. And you guys could say it in the chat if you disagree. But Aaron Judge had a disappointing WBC. He went over in a championship game that they lost. A dude who has the narrative of choking in big games choked in another big game, and he went over in the WBC championship. I would love for Aaron Judge to go 2 for 3 with a home run and a single tomorrow night. That's what he needs to do on this national stage, on Netflix, with everyone watching, with a Jameis Winston broadcast on the side. That's what we need to see out of him, man. I'm excited for tomorrow night. Yankees opening day. I can't wait next week to talk about how the fact that Yankees are going to be 6 games in, and I'm going to have a full opinion on the New York Yankees 6 games into the season as of next show on Tuesday. I'm extremely excited for that, guys. I'm extremely excited for that. I cannot lie at all about that. Yeah. I'm only talking New York sports today, if you guys can't tell. I'm only talking New York sports today. Because you guys want to know what I'm talking about now that I'm done with the Yankees? Because I know, Vin, you're going to love what we're talking about now. We're talking about a basketball team that's on a 6-game win streak, currently sitting at 3rd in the East, trying to get on a playoff run, and that is my New York Knicks. Go New York, go New York, go New York, go New York. Brunson seems to finally, Brunson, I believe, is coming back soon unless they want to continue to rest him for the season. Hart's off the IR. You're hoping to get Shamit back. That injury kind of sucks. Deuce McBride just returned to practice today. The Knicks are hot, man. And when I go through this New York Knicks team right now, I kind of... I'm only going to build off what I said last week, but, It's a team right now. They're very hot. They're on a 6-game winning streak going into the end of the year. They're playing very well. Karl Anthony Towns is playing well. Um, Josh Hart is playing well. You got a lot of players that may have been struggling over the past few months, or maybe have been injured over the past few months, that are really really playing well. And I'm not sorry for the ear itch there. I'm not necessarily against, benching Brunson maybe for another game or two, or being on maybe a minutes restriction with him, because I know we are still are still fighting with the Cavs and for that and Celtics for that 2-3 seed area. But I want to be safe because I'll repeat this 10 times over for the last week of the season. I'm worried about two teams. It's the Pistons and it's the Celtics. The only two teams I'm worried about. I'm not worried about Cleveland. I'm not worried about Orlando. Even if we end up in a first-round matchup with them, Orlando beat us in Game 3. I'm terrified. No, I'm not going to be scared. I'm not going to be scared at all. They're just not teams. I feel like just rebounding-wise, I just feel like across the board, the Knicks are better. When you look at these teams, I think they play better defense. They have more playoff experience than a team like an Orlando or a team like a Toronto. They're better at defense. They're better at rebounding. Right now, they're a team that's a top 5 team in offensive rating. They're top 5 in the NBA in offensive rebounds. They're bottom of the league in they're bottom 10 in the league in turnovers, like the amount of turnovers per game. The only argument I have for them when it comes to playoff basketball is they recently have been playing at the pace of the team is at the bottom of the league. They're not playing extremely fast right now. They're playing a lot slower basketball, getting a lot less possessions per game, and really taking their time and trying to get wins and struggling against teams that they shouldn't be struggling against, and that is what scares me. You had the Nets game the other night. That scares me. You have the Warriors game that other week that worries me. You have some of these games where they play down to their opponents, and those are the games that I will look at throughout the are going into the playoffs that really worry me about the New York Knicks. It's those few games. It's the games that they have played down to opponents that are so much worse than them that I don't really know where to go from there. Also, let me know if the camera is cutting out, guys, so I know if it's worth doing the card openings in a little bit. Sorry, I just got off topic. I just thought of that there because if I'm freezing every 2 seconds, the cards are going to be a little difficult to do. But back to what I was saying. I mean, you really break down this New York Knicks team, and what the scariest part of the team is for me is playing down to opponents that are not as good as you. I mean, you do it without Brunson sometimes. You've been doing it with missing pieces over the past couple of weeks, but you're playing down to teams that are really throwing out G League lineups. Like I said, in the Brooklyn Nets, the Golden State Warriors 2 weeks ago. Those are the games that scare me for the Knicks. But we're going into the playoffs. We only have so many games left that I would rather us rest and be healthy and not get the 2 seed than fight for that 2 seed and have Brunson be banged up going into the playoffs, be Josh Hart banged up going to the playoffs, Dukes McBride banged up going to the playoffs. That's what I'd not want to happen. So I think, you end up as a 3 seed in the first round. Right now you're playing who? Orlando, I'm pretty sure. Right? You'd be playing the 6 seed, which would be Orlando. Am I scared of Orlando? Do I think Orlando can maybe take a game on us in Orlando? Like I said, losing game 3. No. I really don't think. I wouldn't be surprised if we lose a game, maybe 2 to Orlando. But do I think Orlando beats us in a 7-game series? Not at all. I think the Knicks by far make it into the second round. Now, in the second round, when you play Boston, you maybe, that's where I had this back and forth with you the other day, Vin, if you're still in the chat, about the seeding. The only reason the seeding matters is because when you get to that Celtics series, you'd rather have the home court advantage. I won't disagree with that. I'd rather play more games in Madison Square Garden than in Boston when it inevitably, in my opinion, inevitably happens. Obviously, I'm not a prophet and anything could happen. Could we end up and watch Paolo Banchero have the greatest playoff series of his entire life and fight and beat the Knicks in 7? Is it possible? We're playing professional sports, man. Hell yeah, it's possible. But in my heart of hearts, do I believe that there's a team worse than, or there's a team below the Knicks in the conference standings? And that means I'm talking Cleveland, I'm talking Orlando. Excuse me. I'm talking Toronto. None of them scare me. Like, at all. Not one of them scares me. Like there's no fear at all. When I hear Knicks versus Orlando Magic in a 7-game series, Knicks have home court advantage. Knicks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers in a 7-game series, Knicks have home court advantage. Of course, as I get to finish my rant about the Knicks, the stream goes down. I'm investing so much money in Wi-Fi. Stream is struggling. We struggling, boys. Can we get back? Come on. Can we get the video back? Come on. Now's not the time. We was about to do some card openings, man. Can I get someone in the chat let me know the video is buffering on for your end? Because I'm getting messages that you guys are not seeing ish right now. So can I get a confirmation in the chat by one of my few fans, you know, one of my 4 people? One of my 4, 5 people. Can I believe I'm back now. All right, I'll be right back, guys. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to play around with the camera, try to get an over-top headed camera. But like I said with the Knicks, again, yeah, I'm not worried about him. But I'm going to try to get an overhead camera. While I change the camera around, let me know in the chat, guys, because now I see that I'm back and everything. But let me know. I got 2 Easter eggs here. We got Easter coming up. I opened the green one the other day. You guys saw that. Let me know if you guys want me to open both eggs or just one egg in the chat. Blow that up real quick. Let me know if you want to see one egg or both egg. I'll be right back. I'm going to switch around the camera. We're going to get a nice overhead view of everything going on here while I open these cards. back, everybody. Like this new little view for the card openings. They're going to be upside down, but I'll flip them over for you guys as we get going. I ain't see nobody in the chat tell me while I was moving this around. I wasn't back over here. Nobody let me know. How are we feeling? One or two? One or two, boys. One or two of these. Maybe the people who asked for the card openings aren't even here to watch them. Who knows? Who knows? We're going to start with the pink one here. Get the little plastic off. Got the plastic off. I love how these look, guys. Like, these look so cool, don't they? I think these look sick. I think they look so dope. All right, let's open these. Let's open egg number one. Easter egg number one. Obviously, we got the holiday parallels in here. I was looking up all the cards. You could get some inserts, some auto inserts. A lot of fun stuff in here. So let's start it, baby. We open up with the Andrew McCutchen. Flip that one over for you guys right there. Let me fix this camera a little bit more. Nice little zoom in on the hands. Who we got next? Chase Burns. Leave those on the top for you guys so you guys can see. We got Chase Burns. Cool Crushers Philadelphia Phillies card. Yusei Kikuchi. Royce Lewis. Ooh, Spencer Strider's Future Stars. All right. Like that one. I'll keep that one to the side there. Sorry, I just want this pile to be a little bit neater. I like that one. I like that one. I love the people who ask for the card openings. Don't even watch them live. It's crazy. Crazy. Ooh, we got a home run leader card. This one I'm a fan of. Obviously, I love those. Junior Caminero, Aaron Judge, and Cal Raleigh. Bregman, Yamamoto, back-to-back. Bro, this was a show pack opening. I'd be going crazy right now. Pedro Pages. Got a Tigers card. We got Christian Yelich. Vinny Pasquantino. Jonah Heim. Samuel Basello. Casey Mize. Junior Caminaro. Carson Williams. Man. Come on, give me something exciting here. Let me just fix this pile again. Give me something exciting here, right, guys? Come on. Sorry, I just want to look up what I have. Like, we could get some nice inserts. We could get some autos, some of that stuff. Shota Manga. These are dead packs, though. Another Bednar. Ian Seymour. Brandon Paftit. Cody Clemens. Future Stars Dalton Rushing. I'll put that one to the side. Always love a nice Future Stars. Ooh, dropped a few there. Dropped a few. We'll go right to those. American League ERA leaders. Rafaela. Trevor McGill. Clayton Kershaw. Sonny Gray. Yeah, buy better packs is right, Jared. Thought these eggs would hit, bro. I thought these eggs would hit. We might open the second one, bro. Wait till the end. There are some exclusive parallels in this. We just got to get through the fluff. You got to get through the fluff. Boston Red Sox card. Yoshida. A Marsh. A Dieter Fuentes rookie card. I'll keep that one on the side. Brady Singer. Logan Webb. He'll be going up against the Yankees sooner or later. Travis Adams. Manzardo. Ben Williams. Warning Bernabel, Tyler Stevenson. Here we go. Now we're starting to get to the inserts and stuff. Yeah. Any thick cards? As I scroll through, I'm going to burn through these last few cards, guys, because there ain't nothing here. Wilkman Gonzalez, Raymond Urias, Edmundo Sosa, Jack Perkins, Sean Murphy, Will Warren, Jacob Melton, Bo Naylor, Brian Wu, Carson Wisenhunt. Tyler Freeman? Come on, give me some. Aroldis Garcia. All right, here we go. First insert is a Kansas City Royals team card. We get the nice parallel right there with that Kansas City Royals team card. Nice and shiny. We got a Tigers one of these. This is the egg, Vin. This is the egg. Next one, we got a Jose Altuve parallel. Let's see what this one looks like. Another pink and green polka dot. This is one of the more common parallels. I got this one in the other pack as well. There's that Altuve for you guys. Joxton Garcia next with the next parallel. Another mid-tier parallel here. Got a similar parallel in the last egg. These holiday parallels. As we get to the last few cards, parallel Mike Trout, same parallel as you can see. You got the same parallel right here for Mike Trout. Stars of the game, Ellie De La Cruz. I've been getting a lot of Ellie's cards recently. I got a Futures Ellie card. I've been getting a lot of Ellie De La Cruz cards recently. And last but not least, for the top 75, Chipper Jones. Look at that. That's a beautiful card. Nice Chipper Jones. All right, let me know. How we feeling? Egg number 2? Egg number 2? I go wait till next week if you guys want to wait till next week, egg number 2, or I got Topps Heritage next week if you guys want to see this egg right now. Let me see. Let me see how you guys feeling. I'll leave that at the forefront for you guys to look at as I clean up some cards here. How we feeling, guys? We want to see the last egg open. Do you want the Easter egg hunt to be over? Are we disappointed in the Easter egg hunt? We want it to be over? Or are we going for Easter egg hunt next week? Jared, I got a full box of that Heritage. That Heritage will be a minute. That's like 7 packs, that box. So, like, that's getting its own show. All right, looks like we wait until next week on this egg. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You guys can only see my hands right now. But thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. That is all I got for you guys after that nice card opening. Yeah, check out the TikTok. I haven't posted in there a while. I'm hoping to post some clips today, depending on how the stream went. I got to check the film back. Not only that, check out the. I'm thinking about maybe starting another show on Saturdays. So let me know how you guys are having that. Or what you guys think about that in the chat, in the comments, in text, whatever you guys think. Jared, it's hard to do that because it gets shadow banned. So that's all I got for you guys today. I will see you guys all next week. Peace out.